What if the people closest to you are subtly controlling your every move and you don't even realize it? This question may sound dramatic, but it's more common than you think. Manipulation isn't always loud or obvious. In fact, the most dangerous form of control is the quiet kind, the one that sneaks into your daily life, disguised as love, concern, or friendly advice. Stoicism teaches us to master our inner world so that the outer world loses its grip on us. But how can you even begin to master your mind if your thoughts are being influenced without your consent? Today, we're diving deep into the unseen ways people might be trying to shape your actions, reactions, and identity, all without saying a word. Think about this. Have you ever made a decision and later wondered if it was really yours? Have you ever agreed to something just to avoid conflict, even when it felt wrong in your gut? These aren't just bad habits. They are often signs that someone else is steering your emotional wheel. In this video, you'll learn 7 subtle tactics that manipulators use to control you under the radar. We're not just naming these tactics. We'll explore how they work psychologically, how to recognize them in real time, and how to remain stoic in the face of them. Because awareness isn't enough. You need the tools, the clarity, and the mental strength to reclaim your autonomy without exploding or cutting people off dramatically. And here's the most important part. Not all manipulation comes from bad intentions. Sometimes people control out of fear, insecurity, or past trauma. But the effect on you, the emotional fog, the self-doubt, the exhaustion, is the same. That's why you need to see clearly through the fog before it takes over your identity. One of the first hidden control tactics is guilt tripping. It doesn't come in the form of "do this or else." Instead, it shows up in quiet statements like, "I guess you don't care," or "I just thought you were different." These phrases are loaded with emotional weight. They don't ask you to do something directly. They manipulate your emotions so that you feel like you have no choice but to comply. The Stoics believed in acting from reason, not emotional blackmail. When you're guilt-tripped, you're no longer acting from logic. You're reacting from fear of losing someone's approval. That's not power. That's being enslaved by someone else's perception of your worth. Another subtle control method is silent treatment. It's not just someone needing space. It's when someone withdraws communication to punish you. You're left wondering, what did I do wrong? And in that silence, your self-esteem starts to erode. The Stoic response: do not chase. Do not beg. Remember, your peace is not up for negotiation. Next, let's talk about passive-aggressive jokes. They laugh as they insult you. It's just a joke. Relax. But you're left feeling uncomfortable, small, or even humiliated. This kind of humor is a mask. a way to test your boundaries without appearing hostile. A Stoic sees through it and chooses not to laugh along. Dignity over approval, always. Another tactic is playing the victim to flip the narrative. You confront someone about their behavior, and suddenly they're the one who's hurt. This technique derails your message and makes you question your right to speak up. It's a psychological sleight of hand, and unless you're grounded in clarity, you'll fall into defending yourself for things you never did. Have you ever felt strangely guilty just for saying no? That's emotional manipulation in disguise, where they don't command, they imply. A raised eyebrow, a heavy sigh, a sudden cold shoulder. These are not random gestures. They are covert tactics meant to trigger your empathy and guilt. Stoics call this emotional framing, a lens someone else tries to force over your mind. But here's the truth. When your boundaries disturb someone, it reveals their control agenda. You are not rude for protecting your space. You are not selfish for choosing peace over chaos. You are simply aware, and they can't handle that. This is where silent resistance becomes your power. You don't need to argue. You don't need to explain. You simply let the discomfort reveal the truth. Let their silence grow louder than your words. Let their absence teach you what their presence never did. And if any of this has resonated with you even slightly, don't just watch and scroll. Subscribe now, hit the bell, and stay here with us. Because this isn't just a channel, this is where your quiet strength begins. Control doesn't always shout. Sometimes it whispers in your choices. Are you sure that's a good idea? It's not what I would do, but okay. These statements don't sound aggressive, but they're laced with doubt. This is psychological steering, nudging you to second-guess yourself. It's not direct, so it's harder to spot. But it chips away at your confidence, thought by thought. And the more you defend your choices, the more they act like you're the one being irrational. So what's the Stoic approach to this subtle war? First, recognize that clarity is your shield. When someone's words are wrapped in ambiguity, don't unwrap them. Don't decode. Don't overthink. Let their unclear message stay theirs. You don't need to explain your path to people who pretend they know it better than you. A silent nod can be more powerful than 1,000 clarifications. The Stoics taught, your mind is your fortress. The less you allow others to repaint your reality, the more peace you'll find in your silence. They'll call you distant, they'll call you cold, but what they fear is that they can no longer steer you. There's a control tactic that looks like care. They ask too many questions about your choices. They worry when you succeed. They subtly remind you of your past failures, just when you're gaining momentum. This is emotional anchoring. By tying your present to a version of your past, They try to freeze your growth. They want you to remain the person they're comfortable with, not the person you're becoming. The Stoic response: detach from that version of you they keep bringing up. You're not here to meet their expectations. You're here to live your truth. Let them bring up the past. Let them say, "You've changed." Because yes, you have. Growth should feel unfamiliar. It's not your job to soothe their discomfort with your evolution. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "If someone can prove me wrong and show me my mistake, I'll gladly change. But if they simply seek to chain me to who I was, I owe them nothing." Freedom means choosing your direction without needing permission, and sometimes that means walking away from people who pretend their leash is love. The final and most deceptive way people try to control you is through guilt. They say things like, "I did so much for you. You've changed. You're selfish now." But here's the truth. Guilt is not proof of wrongdoing. It's a tool, often used by those who fear losing their grip on you. They want you to feel indebted for choosing yourself. They dress control in the clothing of obligation. The Stoics teach us that your duty is not to others' expectations. Your duty is to virtue, to your values, and to the clarity of your own conscience. You owe no one the sacrifice of your mental peace. When someone uses guilt as a leash, it means your freedom terrifies them, because your boundaries are exposing their manipulation. You're showing them that love isn't control. That connection should never be conditional. Remember, no one can shame you into obedience if you know your path, and no one can guilt you into silence unless you hand them the power. Walk with quiet certainty. You don't need to explain your peace. Just live it. So now, let me ask you a question, one you won't forget. If the only way someone can stay close to you is by making you feel small, do they deserve to be that close?